James Lund is James the Wine Guy. Very special wine tasting today. Now, it's an introduction to these particular wines called Lodi Native. They're Zinfandels 2013 vintages. So stay tuned. So I have tasted and did videos on the 2012 Lodi Native project, and fantastic tasting. In fact, what I'll do is, I have so limited real estate here in terms of both this video and putting links in the video itself. I may just put them down below each producer's website that I'm going to list in the this particular video right here. Now, I think this is an important project. Now, this is produced by the Lodi Wine Grape Commission. I was on a Twitter tasting. And the purpose of that is really to go in and taste these wines and to hear what each of the winemakers is doing. Now, Lodi Native project is to look at specific protocols, that is, specific requirements for these wines. Now, the ultimate, I would say, the ultimate mission statement of this particular project is to look at what do these particular Zinfandels do. That is, how does a site express itself? That is really important when you think of that, and because not all wines are the same. Each producer has their own vision of how they're producing their wines. So really the purpose here is to look at Zinfandel as it relates to Lodi, as it relates to site, and yet how can you compare these all together in terms of these specific protocols so that what you're tasting is Lodi fruit and intersected by Zinfandel and intersected by each producer. So first of all, I want to show you, tell you about these particular regions. So Lodi River has 5 producers as well as 1 from Clement Hills. So I'm going to show you a map where these regions are located in Lodi. You'll find that Lodi, right here, Lodi River, is where 5 producers are selecting their fruit from, and then Clement Hills for 1 producer. Now, I did ask a question in this Twitter tasting. I said, well, do you have a particular, say, site that you're sourcing from? Because some of these producers don't have just one Zinfandel, or not 2 or 3, but maybe 4 or 5 or 6. And, I wanted to compare and contrast. So how would you make this in the Lodi Native protocol, and how would you make it in the non-native protocol? And so one answer I got was, well, the protocol was you could not use that for 2 different, productions of Zinfandel. That was one of the protocol requirements. But one of the producers said to me, well, I did produce Zinfandel under their label in the year previous, I believe. And so that was one way to compare and contrast. And again, you can't compare and contrast necessarily year or vintage over vintage and see, how might that compare. But it might be fun to taste them. How do they express? They're not going to be radically different, but they're going to be different. So all these wines had to be 100% Zinfandel. Had to be old vine, at least older than 1962. Yay, makes me feel good because it makes me feel less old. Native yeast only. No use of oak chips. No new oak. No acidification or deacidification, no water addition or dealcoholization, no tannins added, no inoculation or malolactic fermentation, no filtering or fining, and a preference for Lodi Rules sustainable wine grapes or CCOF wine grapes. That's really getting that baseline here. And Lodi Rules, and first of all, this project is sponsored by the Lodi Wine Grape Commission. So I think this is a really, really forward-looking program, 2 programs in general, that Lodi Wine Grape Commission has brought to the marketplace by saying, look at our point of difference. Look what we're doing in terms of our Zinfandels, and taste site by site. How do these taste in terms of Zinfandel, and how are they different? They are different. The alcohol by volume is different in every single bottle in here. They taste different, right? That should go without saying, and but that's the beauty of site by site and sub-AVA to sub-AVA. And that's a fun part of this particular tasting. So I'm going to talk about each of these wines, and what I'll do is I'll put more information on each of the wines I tasted before from each of these producers. Not all of them were in the Lodi Rules in the 2012 vintage, but some of them were. And they use a different site this year. And so that's another exciting thing about these particular wines. So these wines are available by purchase. You can go to the Lodi Wine and Visitor Center. I believe they're $180 for a 6-bottle set. Or you can get them from the producers. I believe they're in the low 30s. I can't absolutely confirm that price point, but you can reach out to each particular producer. I'll put more information on each producer down below. This is by Makia Schmid Ranch, Zinfandel 2013 vintage, 8-acre site dating back to 1918 at 15.9% ABV. Now, definitely when it comes to Zinfandel, it can handle that. And I remember I was at a seminar with Joel Peterson. He's talking about that, and he's really what I think his main point was to say there's no one right answer. There's no one right interpretation or ABV of Zinfandel in general. It's, how does wine taste? Does it taste the way it should taste? And is it pleasing as well? And I think that was a really good point out. So the next one is by Fields Family, and I'm going to move my hand in that direction. So Fields Family, Clement Hills Stampede Vineyard, 2013 vintage, 13.9% ABV. Now, it's planted in the 1940s, and so this is the furthest east in terms of these particular bottlings here. Now, a large portion of this fruit is going to Bedrock Wines. Morgan Twain Peterson, Joel Peterson's son, in fact, has a bulk of this fruit. And so this is probably, I think, the lowest ABV in this particular set here. And then we have the next wine by Malley Brothers. We get Vineyard 2013 vintage, of course, 21 acre, head trained vines. St. George rootstock, 3 tons per acre, planted in 1958, a 14.5% ABV. And the next one we have is by McKay Cellars right here. Now this is from Trulux Vineyard, McCalmany River, planted in the 1940s. Again, St. George rootstock, tall head trained vines topping out at 6 feet. That's pretty high. I'd like to see that vineyard site at some point. And so the ABV on this, I actually have to look at this. This is 14.5%. And going on to the fifth wine right here. Now this is by M2. Now this is Susie Vineyard. Now this is planted in 1916, first planted in 1916, farmed by a 5th generation farmer. And this particular bottling is a 15% ABV. And the last wine we have right here, Saint Amant, and it's from Marion's Vineyard, planted in 1901. And it's about 8.3 acres, and I believe this is 14.5, yep, 14.5% ABV. And so the enjoyment here is to obviously tasting these wines side by side, which I was fortunate enough to do so. It's really, really valuable to taste each of these wines all together, and how are they tasting, and what are the points of difference? And I thought originally, oh wow, they're going to taste very similar, right? Given the protocol. So I was very, very interested in that, and looking at my notes, I thought, wow. Each of these wines, in terms of the scent characterization, flavor profile, are expressing very differently, and sometimes, on a very oppositional level. Not that they're opposed to each other, that is that they're very much, one that I wouldn't expect on, any spectrum of flavor or scent characteristics. They're fully in line with, wine tasting sensory characteristics, of course. Just the point being is they were different, and that's the beauty of this program. So stay tuned for each of these particular reviews. I'm very excited about this program. And again, all the information will be down below from each producer about Lodi Native in general and Lodi wines. So thank you so much for watching this video today. Stay tuned for more. So let's connect on a variety of social medias. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, LinkedIn, as well as Instagram and WordPress. Do me another favor, give a like to this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much for watching today. Salut.